to start with a video from Mrs. Rosenfeld's grandson. His name is Maury Rosenfeld. And I'm going to put that on. Okay, let's make sure.
Hey everybody, and happy Yom Yerushalayim. I'm so absolutely touched and honored to be introducing the first annual Tova Rosenfeld Memorial Lecture. And I wish I could be there in person. Because I'm not, I know how daunting or annoying or strange it may seem to be paying attention to someone you've never met or don't know at all speaking to you from a screen. So I'll keep it very brief. And I really just want to thank the yeshiva and the seminary together who have made this possible. So touching to us and our family, and as the only current, for now, only just a little bit longer, member of my family who is living here in Eretz Yisrael, I just want to say that this represents something much more than any aliyat neshama or any dedication of a lecture, and that is that the greatest aliyah and the greatest comfort to my grandmother's neshama, as well as her husband, my grandfather, Alehem Shalom, is that her grandchildren are here in Eretz Yisrael, and more than that, there are a bunch of young women like yourselves who are here spending their year embracing everything that this place has to offer, embracing its teachers, embracing its Torah. And I think the most fitting person to speak about my grandmother's legacy in this context is Miss Horwitz Prawer, and everything that she will share with you, including her incredible story and the efforts that she goes through to ensure that a real Bas Yisrael, like my grandmother was, and like my grandmother had inspired others to be, is someone who lives actively through green light Judaism, taking opportunities and using those opportunities to make a Kiddush Hashem, and to bring Nachas Ruach to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and who makes all of us, and again on behalf of our family, all of us, so proud and so honored and so incredibly touched and moved. And may this be an aliyah to my grandmother's neshama, but the greatest aliyah to her neshama will be what you can take from the lecture that you're about to hear and the Torah that you've learned this year, and take it back with you after this year. Chag Sameach, and have a wonderful, wonderful Shavuos.
Okay, thank you. Let's start a little bit about in Denver, Colorado. Very, very small community. I think we had 12 kids in our class. And Mrs. Rosenfeld was one of our teachers. Her husband also was the principal of the school, Rabbi Rosenfeld. And don't forget, this was in the 1970s, early 1970s. And a lot of our community had Holocaust survivors. But they never really talked about it. No one really told us what happened. We knew that there was this thing called Holocaust survivors, and they went through this horrible thing. But no one ever talked to us. And one day, Mrs. Rosenfeld said, I want to tell you about what happened to me. I don't know what grade I was. I might have been in 6th grade. I might have been in 7th grade. I think I was in 7th grade, 7th, 8th grade. Mrs. Rosenfeld was a tall woman. She was very impressive. She had a thick accent, which was strange for us, from America. We didn't hear this accent. She got up and she started to tell her story. And what did she tell us? That she, I don't know where she was, I don't know where in the Holocaust she was, but that they were shooting at these people to kill them. And they theoretically shot at her. And that she fell into the pit. And then she played dead, or she lost consciousness. And then they started covering her with dirt. Now, we're in 7th grade. We're hearing this story. And we're hearing this story from a woman who's very clear, very relaxed. I mean, can you imagine telling a story like that? I think it was like probably the first time, maybe second time. She's telling this story, but she gave us a lot of, it was very so relaxed and so clear that you didn't panic. You didn't feel scared. I mean, it was horrible. She's telling us how she was under the dirt, and then all of a sudden someone digged her up. From what I understand, it might have been her mother. I wasn't clear on that at the time. And took her out of this grave and saved her. And you're looking at this woman, and you're seeing a woman who's standing on her 2 feet, feeling secure, feeling like she knows where she's going, and you're hearing this trauma that this woman was buried with other people who did make it, and someone saved her. And she said, somebody saved me. I could have been like them, but I was saved, and I have a reason that I was saved. And my reason for this being saved in her mind was that she was going to teach Jewish children, number one, how to be the best they could, and how they could serve HaKadosh Baruch Hu in the best way they could. And those were her words. And I'm almost 60 today. And I still remember, I'm 60, okay? And I remember it like yesterday. Now you can ask me a lot of things that happened almost 50 years ago. I don't remember. But this woman saying, I was saved because I have what to do, really resonated with me. And as this is her a picture of her in the Air Force, and in the beginning. And so as I was thinking about when her son Mayor asked me to talk, I was thinking, what is this story? What does it bring about with me? What do I think about it? Is it two things? Do I have hope? And what is the intent? So let's think about that. Do I have hope? Hope is, what's hope? Girls. Belief, yes. Believing in the future. Anything else? Yofi. That's it? Yeah. Motivation, right? Because you believe you're motivated. Optimism. That there's something that can happen. So here, on the one hand, you hear, do I have hope? I have belief. I have emunah. I have like optimism. I feel all these things, right, that I can make the difference. And intent. Intent, we'll discuss about what intent is, but first you have to believe that there's something that can happen. And when I was thinking of Tova, I was thinking those are the two things. She had belief and she had intent. We'll start with the belief. We'll start with that. decides, I'm going back home. Now she knows when she goes back home, how are the people in Israel going to relate to her? What are the, Ken? With disregard. It's a good word. I like that word. With disregard, like you went over there and now you're coming back. And you're coming back, how do you say mushpal? What? Lowly, humble, what? Humiliated. And this woman is coming back with her 2 daughter-in-laws. And what does she say? Why are you coming back with me? Why are you coming back with me? Do I have hope? Is there anything you can get from me? Even if I would give birth today with children, with sons, would you wait? But when she says yesh li tikva, she's talking to her daughter-in-law saying, do I have hope? But really she's talking to herself. She wants hope. She came back. Why did she come back? What do you think? What? Because she wanted something to change. Her life was, they say in Hebrew, ala kantim, ala panim. They weren't good. And she said, I want hope. But she says to her daughter-in-laws, do I have hope? In that very moment, something starts. Yesh li tikva. That very comment, something starts moving in her conscious, subconscious, in the energies that happen. How does the story end? How does Megillat Ruth end? With hope or without hope? With hope. What's the hope? What? She has children. She has Mashiach. But how did that hope start? Where did it start from? When she said, Yesh li tikva, do I have hope? She didn't feel hope. She felt despair. But in her neshama, in her ratzonot, she wanted hope. And hine, she sent it out to the tefillot of the world. And in the end of this story, Oved holid et Yishai, Yishai holid et David. And here we are today, Yom Yerushalayim. Such hope. Let's discuss a little bit about intent. Now, this is, I think, crucial for you guys who are just starting to think, what am I going to do with my life? Am I going to get married? Who am I going to get married to? What kind of kids am I going to have? What job am I going to do? Where am I going to live? It's a pretty horrible time, okay? It's exciting and miserable at the same time, okay? Okay? In fact, I'm hearing some of you laughing, then you understand what I'm saying, okay? It's normal. Okay? It's normal. They'll all tell you this is the best time of your life. Don't believe it. It is the most difficult, complicated time. But you should know that. No one's telling them the truth. I'm telling you. Okay. So we discussed that do I have hope is, what did we say? Emunah. I believe something can happen. I believe there's out there something can change or not change. Something's good's going to happen. What is intent? Let's discuss what is intent. Okay, girls, come on. What is intent? Do you know the word? Do you guys know what that word means? It's okay if you don't. It's totally fine. So I did a little thing there. It took me a while to figure out how to do it. But intent is, let's go through aspiration. It's a goal. It's an aim. It's a meaning. It's a plan. It's an idea. It's a target. It's a purpose. I can have a lot of emunah. But if I don't have intent, if I don't have a plan, if I don't have an idea, if I don't know where I'm going, that emunah, I don't know if this is a Yiddish word, but I'm going to use it. It gets verbabbled. Is that Yiddish? It's my Yiddish word. Okay? It's verbabbled. It'll get all confused. And what does that intent look like? I mean, I'm not moving around because I've got the camera on me. What do you mean? Is that okay? I mean, I go in and out. I mean, like, I like that side. I want to see this side. Okay. Okay. So like? I'm asking you guys, what does intent look like? Back there, what does intent look like? Doing something with your actions. Okay, good. I got you. Good, good. Right, very good. Anyone else? Yeah.
An idea with the drive to accomplish it.
A drive to accomplish it. I'm going to go out there. I believe I can do it. Yalla, let's go. Okay? Now. I had to find a picture of this of like Jewish religious girls. This is the picture I found. And I'm asking you, right now, as I start talking through this situation, I want you to think about yourselves. What is your intent on your personal level? But what is your intent on your responsibility to your community and to your nation? It's not all about im ein ani li mili, right? There's a second part to that. Okay? So, what is your intent? I would even go like this. What is your hope? What is your emunah? What is your intent? As Jewish religious women that are going back to America, that are going back to wherever you're going, I don't know if there's only Americans here, but going back, and what do you guys want to accomplish? And now I'm going to introduce myself. Okay? That's Brenda at 6. Okay, there I am. I was lived in Denver, Colorado, till the age of 18. I was raised in a complicated situation. I had a very good mother with mental health issues, serious mental health issues. In 7th grade, and I'm forever thankful for Hillel that they noticed this, one of my teachers said to my mother, maybe she's not so, I'm not going to say what, but maybe she's learning disabilities. And they were on it in 1972, okay? Like when, you know, you had a phone that was connected to the wall and you couldn't speak privately to anybody, right? Because it was connected to the wall. They said she might have learning disabilities. And I really was basically a non-reader. And they helped me. The school got in connection with people that could help teach me how to read and go on. So here was this young little girl who basically was in a house that was pretty not stable, in a situation where I couldn't really help myself in a lot of areas. But somebody had once said to me something, and I remember this, I think in 6th grade, I don't even know, not this pasuk, but I think it would translate to this pasuk. It's a hard pasuk, but I'm taking it on the positive way, okay? I'm going on the Hezbollah of Rav Kook. Elohai, ad shelo nutzarti eni kadai. Akshav shenutzarti ki'ilu lo nutzarti. It's in brachot. What does it mean? HaKadosh Baruch Hu put your neshama in the world when you have what to do in the world. Like, he didn't put me in 100 years ago because there wasn't a wash machine. There's no way I would have been able to deal with that, right? I had to be here now. It's funny, guys, okay? You guys gotta laugh, okay? I was put in this world from, God, I should have a long life, at this time because I have what to do. And if I don't do it, then why was I put here? So every one of you guys, sorry, you guys is a Denver statement. I know New Yorkers don't like it, so no, I used to get yelled at by the New York girls. Why are you calling us guys? But, okay, so you guys, it's Denver. Okay? Every one of you was put in this world now, in this time, because you have what to do. Okay? Because lo nutzarten, because you didn't have what to do before. And now the time is to think, why were you put here and what do you have to do to make this world and the Jewish community and your community a better place to be in? So I'm going to quickly go through, and at the age of 18, I made Aliyah. I got married to my wonderful husband, who's Jeff, who's here, and teaching children to read. And I was really good at helping those dyslexic kids to read because I know what I'm looking at. And today my son is a first grade teacher and goes around and helps other teachers in the Haredi world learning how to teach better. And volunteering, okay? That's till like the age of like 40, okay? Intent set into motion. This little girl, people are saying, well, what can you do? Not everybody. You have people like Tova, Mrs. Rosenfeld, who's in my mind. Look at that woman standing proud and strong and saying, I was buried under the ground. I came out and look what I'm doing today. Those are the people in my mind. And I'm like, if she can do it, kal v'chomer, right? Can you imagine such a trauma? Can you imagine not knowing a language and going to Israel learning Hebrew, going to America learning English, all the things that she has to do to make this work? So at the age of 40, I became a principal, and one of my biggest fears was taking responsibility. It scared me. Wherever I'm scared, unfortunately, that's where I was. I was first an elementary school teacher, principal, and then I became from 7th to 12th grade principal. That means I've been a principal for almost 20 years, from first grade to high school, end of high school. At 58, I decided I want to go into pension. I've done enough. I took 2 schools that were failing. I brought them up to national level. Okay, I've done it. I feel good about it. I want to go into pension. And exactly the world mitgalgel, because I like, my emunah is that I can make the platforms for people to express themselves. I can make the platforms for people to do the best they can do. So as a high school principal, I put that on the platform, okay? That was my platform. Girls in a school that was considered low economic, socioeconomic, very low, and kids that hardly any of them had bagrut. We won national prizes on getting all those girls, more than 20% were Ethiopian girls, getting them out there, getting them to be the best they can do. I'm good at that. There's some things that I'm terrible at, but that I was good at. I was scared to go into politics because you know what they say about politicians. You know what they say about politicians? No, you guys are totally not into politics. You know, it's askara, like it's low life, okay? And I was like, someone asked me, one of my teachers said, Brenda, we need you to run for the city politics because we need a religious woman in the system who's going to hear our voice. I was like, total love. The mayor's my boss. Now I'm running against him. He has the educational portfolio. I'm running to take it. He was like saying horrible things about me, whereas 5 months before I was the principal of the city, okay? But I said I'm doing it because I want to be that voice. And I'm scared to death. I'm scared I won't make it. I'm scared I won't do a good job. I'm scared about a billion things. I said, maximum, I fail. And the last thing I did was, since we had a situation in the family where one of our grandchildren passed away, and Horwitz came and didn't save him. They saved us emotionally by being there. And his yahrzeit is tonight, so this is Lilu and Nishmat Lamkin. I decided I hate blood. Asked my husband at any time that we had a situation where there was one of our kids sick, who was the first to run the other way? Me. But after that situation, after Shimi passed away, and I saw that Horwitz came and they helped my daughter-in-law and my son deal with what they had to do, I said, no, I have to be there. I have to deal with that fear. And today I am a chobeshet, a first responder in Horwitz, and this is a picture right before I went to the Ukraine. So what I'm going to talk to you about is about 2 things. I'm not going to talk about being a principal, I'm going to talk about being a politician in Horwitz, of things that I've done to improve the community. Not to tell you, look what I've done, that's not the reason, but you guys are going out there soon. And you might not do it at 20, and you might not do it at guys should make that step. And if you see something that's missing, you step in and you say, we can solve this problem. We can make an opportunity here. And that's why I'm showing you these things. Okay. So notice the cheesecake first bullet, okay? 3 things I know about myself. And this is what I want you to think about yourselves now. What do you guys know about yourself? What do you guys know that you guys are just don't work well in? You have to know that. And what do you guys know? I'm good in, okay? Like, I'm really good in getting a lot of people with me to help me work a situation. Because I'm not so good in some things. Writing, I mean, I write, but there's things that I'm not so good at. Who are the people that can help you do it? But the 3 things I know about myself, and I want everyone to think today and write it down. What are the 3 amazing things about yourself? You go, without any anava, okay? Nothing like, I need to get today, get that. Forget it. Things you say, I am good. I am really good. Okay? Because I have to say, when Mrs. Rosenfeld sat in that class, she was proud of herself that she survived. She was proud that she did the things. You don't have to always like, no, you know how we're always trying to be, no, I'm not so good, it's okay. No, you can stand up and say, I'm good at this. Also tell you the things you're not good at. Number 1, I know that I'm a person that can make a difference. I'm in Israel, I'm a totally weird bird. They don't know what to do with me. I have a good sense of humor. I go in English and Hebrew. I say things that are totally outrageous, but it gets people working. I know I can make a difference. It gets people interested. I'm really willing to work hard. As a principal, when we didn't have a janitor and there was a problem with the toilet, I didn't have a problem going in and doing it. I don't mind being in the trenches and working hard. Not only being in the trenches, you learn what you need to learn. That's number 1. You learn about how the system works. But there's nothing that embarrassment say, oh, for my I'm not doing that. I'll do anything. If it will help move the situation, I'll do anything. Almost. Okay. And willing to make mistakes and fail. We don't talk about that enough. Anybody who you see who is successful, they work really hard, and they don't get discouraged by failure or mistakes. Like when you eat that cheesecake on Shavuot and you feel really bad about it, right? So what are those 3 things that every one of you can say about yourself? Because that's your core baggage that you're taking with you to make the differences in what you're going to be doing. And you have to have emunah that you can do it. And that the people around you can do it. And that when you get discouraged, because you will get discouraged, how you put yourself back up and say, I'm not going to stop. Because Naomi, when she went back to Israel, the women of the city laughed at her. They just said, who are you? What are you doing back here? It didn't work? Ha ha. But she didn't get discouraged. Okay. So I'm going to tell you a little, any questions right now? Any questions? Okay. So, as a politician, there's a few things that I'm doing. Number 1, the Noseh of Mikvaot. In Israel, most of the people who run, design the mikvaot are men. Where are you guys? Come on. Who are the people that are doing everything on the mikvaot? The men. So then what's happening is, when there's problems, how are they understanding the problem? Through man's head. Are they understanding it through a woman's head? No. Okay? So when they complain or when there's an issue, what are the responses? No, what's the response? They go, what's the problem? What's the problem? Or there's all these different responses, okay? They mean well, okay? So one of the things that what I realized was that we got to get women more involved in building and taking active participation in what's going on in the mikvah. Number 1, when I started, we had Corona. So as a politician, I did surprise visits in the mikvah to make sure they were clean. Not everybody liked that. Not everyone liked that. But I was saying, I'm here for the women. I don't care if you don't like this. I have to make sure the women are safe. Because there was a lot of women who stopped going to the mikvah because of Corona. And we wanted women to feel secure as possible that they wouldn't stop going. Number 2, women in Israel, I don't know what it's like in America, it might be different, they call up to make an appointment to go to the mikvah. And if you can't get a hold of the person, person and it's so complicated, and we have a lot of women that use internet. So I initiated that we have internet online that you can make a tour? What? An appointment, yeah, sorry. An appointment, that was like a silly word. An appointment to get into the mikveh online. You don't have to call anybody, you do it easily. And since we've done that, we've seen that more and more women are coming back to the mikveh again. My second job in the city as a politician is suicide prevention. Now politically, the mayor probably gave me that job because why? Who's going to talk about suicide, right? I'm not going to get out there. A politician always wants to show what he's doing, and they're doing things. Who's going to talk about suicide, right? Nobody wants to hear about depression. Nobody wants to hear about all the different things that are going on with people. So I got out there, and we brought in the awareness of suicide prevention, where we're doing conferences. We're talking about men in depression. Men in depression, there are a lot of young men that are very depressed, and it looks differently than when women are depressed. Who do you guys talk to when you're depressed, when you're not feeling good about yourself? What happens if you see a friend that is in a really bad place? Who are you doing? What are you doing? What can you do? So in the city of Ma'ale Adumim, we've put in a whole system where, number one, we had the rabbis and the Gabbaim learn how to identify men that are in depression. The first ones in the country to do that. I'm proud of that, because no one talks about the men being depressed. They don't talk about the situations that they get into. Number two, we talked about how to identify and what do we do and what programs we're putting in the school, because we're not scared to talk about it. Okay? And here I'm working with that, and working a lot with the Jewish community in a lot of different ways, okay? Because I believe that we can make the change. But I also have a plan, okay? And people help me with the plan. I don't always know the plan. Sometimes like, what do I do? I don't know what to do. But then I talk to people, and slowly we get it. Okay. The last thing here that I'm going to talk about is being in first responder. That you guys know that I'm like nervous. Every time I go out for a call, I'm like, oh my God, Kadosh Baruch Hu, you gotta help me here, okay? Like obviously the first time I see someone that I need to put a defibrillator, I'm by myself, right? I'm not gonna say the word I said to myself because it's lo mechabed, but I was very, very scared. And thank God, I mean, it didn't help him, but we did okay. So, one of the, I'm also part of a group in Horwitz that helps people not go through post-trauma after traumatic situations. So one night, as I was with the mikveh group, we changed the head of the Motzei Dati. I don't know if that means anything, but we got women in this group that now runs the religious, I don't know how you say Motzei Dati. The religious authority in the city. We have women there. So I was that night having a meeting with the women and women from the community talking about a new mikveh, and they called me and they said, Brenda, we want you to come to Ukraine. I said, I want to talk to my husband about it. And of course, the one time he didn't answer, I said, forget it, sorry, I'm going to go. My son, who goes to Uman, Rabbi Nachman, all the time, because you shouldn't go, Ima, it's dangerous. I'm like, oh, who's talking? I know that. Let me answer you what you answer me. Kol b'seder, Ima. Kol b'seder. I'll get on the plane in a no-fly zone. So it means it was 20 of us. We had to sit in a plane in a way like we're not allowed to move because it might flip the plane. I'm like, my 60 kilos is going to flip the plane if I move. I didn't go to the bathroom. I didn't do anything. I sat on the plane like this. No-fly zone because Russian missiles fly through this sometimes. We're going to Moldavia. And we finally land, thank God. We're the only plane, we're the only plane, everything was shut down. And we go, and the next morning, we start going to refugee camps. And who's in the refugee camps? Not so many children, there weren't so many children, there were some children, mostly women. depression. This is quiet of shock. This is quiet. And I said to the doctor, I said, we're going to go every bed and we're going to ask every woman, we had translators with us, if they need anything. And the doctor said, really? I said, really. That's what we're doing. Okay? Because I believe that if I'm there, that these women need to be heard. The first 2-3 women we go to, they say, no, they don't need it. The fourth woman goes like this. What does that mean?
Blood pressure.
Blood pressure. We take her blood pressure. It's off the charts. I'm like, whoa, that's so off the charts. And then the doctor says, let's go through her medicines. We go through her medicines, we see what she has, and we see Horwitz brings all the medicines so the people won't run out. If you run out of your blood pressure medicine, you're in trouble. So we start going through everyone. All of a sudden here, Dafka, this man is also from Denver. He's married to someone from who used to live in your capital. This woman starts undressing herself out of nowhere. Now the men, like they're like immediately, we cover her up because they're in sneeze. And the woman says, my house had a rocket go through it in Ukraine. An older woman, and I can't stop shaking. I can't stop shaking. She starts taking off her clothing. We start asking her what the different bruises are. We start talking to her. Already, as we're talking to her, you see that she's calming down. The doctor said the shaking is either from something neurological or from trauma. After her, all of a sudden, those women who said they didn't want us to talk to them, they came up to us and said, can you talk to us? Can you see us? Can you help us? And here we are, as you see, I had the mask. I ended up coming home with Corona. I had Russian Corona, which was very different than the Omicron. And all these people here, we're talking to them and going from place to place and hearing their dilemmas. One woman says to us, my father stayed in Kiev because he had to take care of his mother and father. And I have his wife, my mother. I brought her because she was hysterical. And my only daughter, I couldn't leave her in Kiev. And we wrote on the car, don't shoot. Children in the car. She says, but people ahead of us and behind us, their cars were shot up. And so I said to her, look what a strong and amazing family you have. Your father is taking care of his parents and you're taking care of your mother. And so someone said to me, he said, but not really because the men had to stay. I said, but she said my father decided. Therefore, we're going to use that narrative and say, yes, he decided. It could be he did decide because he might have been over the age that he did. So when I'm looking, if we go back to this Mishnah, right? So in my mind, and over the years, it wasn't at 20, I didn't really necessarily have an idea exactly what I was doing. I wanted to be an Eretz Yisrael. I wanted to make a difference here. I didn't speak Hebrew very well. But the question is, why did Akash Baruch Hu put you in now? And you might not know the answer. And it'll take time to know the answer. But think about it. What are your strengths? What are the 3 things you know? What are the things that you feel like they do wow? When you talk about it, you go, wow, that interests me. And it doesn't have to be what everyone tells you. It can be something else that you think of. And people say, oh, that's interesting. Like, they're giving you a negative vibe. Go with what your heart says on that. Okay? Your inner voice is so important. So important. So, if we go back to the things I would say that are very important for you to go back and be to make things move in your communities and for yourself is that hope. Why did Akash Baruch Hu put you here now? Why not 100 years ago? Why not 200 years ago? Look at Sarah Schneer. Look at that woman. She came in, she fought everybody. Bishuta today. You guys are learning because that woman didn't let anybody go in her way. Rabbis were against her. Till the Chavetz Chaim said, I'm with you. But in her heart she understood that the girls were no longer learning kashrus. They didn't know kashrus. They weren't learning Torah. They had no idea how to keep a kosher kitchen. And the men were learning. But who were they going to marry? And this woman and she had a vision that if she wants Am Yisrael to be strong, you got to get the women on board. And even if the government says they can't be, she had to find a way to do it. And she set things into motion. She went rabbi, rabbi. She went community, community. And everybody has fears. And everybody has failures. But know your fears and then work with them and have people help you. Nobody does it alone. And that's one thing that's crucial. Nobody does it alone. Nobody. So, and then you set everything into motion. And then Devarim Matchilim להתגלגל. Let's go back to Tova. Here she is with the rifle. I don't know what year this was in, but this is like 1960s. I don't know. So not so many girls were using rifles. Okay? But that is courage. That is making a statement. That is saying, I am here. I have intent. I have belief in myself. I believe that I was saved for a reason. I believe that I have what to do. She has a wonderful family, 2 wonderful boys, and now we saw her grandchildren. Looks just like her husband. Here she is smiling, right? She could have been just showing the gun on, but she had emunah. Do I have hope? And her answer was yes, and she had intent. So, just before we finish up here, and then I'll answer questions if you. I'm sure you've heard this metaphor of everyone is the link in the chain. You heard that? Right? Okay. So I remember that too. So there, I always thought like, I want everyone here to be the gold link in the silver chain. Okay? How do you become the gold link? How do you make what you have to do and you do it the best? Okay? And how do you strengthen Am Yisrael? And how do you strengthen your communities? How do you strengthen yourselves and your future children? How do you do that? Okay? How do you do that? And so what I was trying to bring is food. Mrs. Rosenfeld, is a woman against all odds stood up and told us, I'm here for a reason, and so are you. And I'm going to show you a picture. It's Yom Yerushalayim, and that is a real zechut that you guys are here. It's such a zechut to be in Yerushalayim. You guys can't even imagine what a zechut it is. I can cry. It's so amazing. Okay. And I'll show you my family. They look a little different than I expected. Okay, they're a little different than what we expected. Look at me and my husband. A little different. It took adjustment time, but they're great, obviously. That's our family. I always say to my son, that poor beaver, right? Okay, Baruch Hashem, that we were zoche to be here and have these wonderful family and wonderful daughter-in-laws and wonderful grandchildren and granddaughters, because I'm a mother of boys, and just that's cool to do it here in Israel, Baruch Hashem. But the message always is that HaKadosh Baruch Hu put us here for you guys to do something. And as they always say, it's the first Nike commercial. Just do it. Okay? So on that note, Mayor and everybody should just have a lot of nechama and just feel, thank you very much for thinking of me, and good luck. And if anybody has questions,